Hi, folks. I'm Brenda Paskey, and welcome to the fourth and final episode of my 4.5 part series, The Meaning of Mulholland Drive, David Lynch's masterpiece and the greatest movie ever made, second to none. I would first like to address some complaints I've been hearing that I'm arrogant and overconfident in what is, after all, only my opinion. So I will just say David Lynch works subliminally, and I try to as well. So right now I am trying to project the one thing that will give me credibility. Let's see if it works. I would like to take this time for a shout out to one of my followers who noticed this blue key sticking out of a door behind Cookie/Joe's head. That means he's thinking about it. So if Joe got to the hospital to find out his sister Diane committed suicide, and maybe because of the blue key, he's feeling guilty. Maybe it's just me, but I see that red and white thing that was hanging off of Aunt Ruth's purse in his hand just for a second as he comes up from hell there. So thank you at Michael Glenowski for noticing that blue key. It really solidifies that Cookie is Joe. In this section, I will answer the one remaining question. What is felt, realized, and gathered at Club Silencio? But I will also revisit number 6, the robe, the ashtray, and the coffee cup, because they are all important. I will finish off the few questions left of the mysteries of Mulholland Drive. Who do you see twice if you done bad? Who is the cowboy? Why does Betty shake at Club Silencio? What is in the blue box? And why does the cowboy hide his hands? There are two terrible secrets of Mulholland Drive. They are the cowboy and the blue box. So the more I watch this movie, the more details I see that I didn't notice at first, like rings. All the Selwyns wear like a gold wedding band. And then I was reading again about rooks, and they mate for life. Now, that sounds great, but imagine if you mated with somebody inappropriate, like, say, Betty, original Betty and Wally, Diane and Camilla, Joe with his rape victim, Billy with his sister. That would cause a lot of problems, actually. So on the subject of rings, do you remember that when Coco came out to confront Camilla and Diane at the party, she made a kind of odd gesture? Oh, there she is. She's showing Camilla she has the ring of authority. So their plan went off perfectly. The ring suddenly switched to her left hand, but we really didn't notice. I mean, there was so much to see in this shot. Her pinky finger, her crushing her son's nuts, the perfect manicure, and now she has settled the ring of authority where it belongs. And now I kind of wonder if this white wine means something. Yeah, Kenny, who is Luigi, searching for a ring. Ha ha. And what else was in that shot? This shiny silver thing, at first I thought it's important. It was in the reflections, but it's not. That's salt. So where's the matching pepper? She's racing down the hill to hide the golf club. And a shiny silver thing missing something is going to be important later, believe it or not. Then there's some more stuff going on in the background. This guy moves his hand across this woman's face like he's slapping her if he would have been a little closer to her. And then she talks to this woman. Is that Diane's stepfather abusing her, and then Diane tells her stepmother. There's more stuff about that party. There were like 3 redheads there, and this one is like purple, so very talented with her lower extremities. That's like 10 times as many as you would expect in a party of this size, because we're only like 1 or 2% of the population. I think they're there for the cowboy. I think he's got a thing for redheads. That's why there are these red wigs all over his apartment. The prospects must don one of those before they proceed. And here's more things about this picture. There's like 3 red lights in the background. This is Joe's park. Joe's parking people. Besides all the 8s here, of course. And, Vincenzo got out and closed his own door. Possibly Luigi did the same, which is not typical if you're in a limo. The driver does it, and then there's this guy over here who could do it. But we know actually now that there were 4 people in that vehicle. The driver, Camilla, then Vincenzo and Luigi. And when they go in, the door opens for Luigi, apparently by itself. Yeah, it says bank over there. Vincenzo's got a big ring now. Then there's these trash cans. There's one by Taka next to the empty red wheelbarrow. There's one here at Pink's. And you know what? There's no license plate on this vehicle. I don't know what's going on in there, but probably not driving anywhere. We got 3 people. Maybe there were 4 people in that vehicle. Maybe Aunt Ruth is in that vehicle as well. The vehicle that was right in front of the limo for the Oldsters. Were there 4 people in there? I mean, we saw Aunt Ruth. We saw Diane, and then we saw these 2 guys. This guy with a mustache could be Billy. This guy carrying a brown portfolio, perhaps with pictures in it. He's kind of visually similar to Diane. That could be Joe. Yeah, he doesn't have the full facial hair, but don't forget he shaved it so he could imitate Aunt Ruth. And Billy seems to be missing his left hand, like some kind of biblical punishment. And, 3 white pipes over there by Irene. Oh, am I imagining it? I don't know. Are Billy and Joe also dead? Is that why they keep popping up all over in the afterlife? Did this guy with the white shirt of a Castiglione, who is black like death gesturing at the party, did he take care of Joe for some reason? Did Joe get caught murdering Adam? And again, at the beginning, the first thing we see of Havenhurst is a fireplace. And you know what? It's got double 2 placards. That's kind of unusual too. Usually there's only 1 on the right. Is it possible that the 2 detectives don't just reflect Diane and Camilla, but also Joe and Billy? Joe shows Billy what he did. Billy hides his hands because one has been cut off as punishment. They are condemned to look at the results of heinous criminal acts as detectives in their next life. So I feel like this part of the movie is all about judgment. It occurs in these wood-walled offices like judges' chambers or courtrooms. People are being confronted with their crimes. They're explaining why they did it. They're repenting, and then they move on to their next life, for better or for worse.
Be okay. It's probably Coco. Yes? May I help you?
Someone is in trouble. Who are you? What are you doing in Ruth's apartment?
She's letting me stay here. I'm her niece. My name's Betty.
No, it's not. That's not what she said.
Wow, that Louise is a pretty spooky character. I wonder where she's from. It must be somewhere pretty dark because she squints a lot, like she can't see very well. She's like all dressed in black, like she's in deep mourning for someone she really cares about. She does have a sparkly necklace around her neck. It's hard to see, but it's there. And she carries a hanky in her hand, like she's been crying. And I'm really glad the internet is there to tell me that this is a ribbon. I thought it was the lining of her hood, but it's a loose ribbon. What could be the meaning of that loose ribbon? The first scene of this section opens and the girl's hands innocently touch. MulhollandDrive.net says that Betty is pointing to a graveyard as their destination. Betty answers the door. Her eyes look brown. And there's Louise Bonner, a really spooky lady. Who is she? She does have a necklace. You can just barely see it. At first, I thought she was Camilla. Camilla often hides her face because of what she has become, but she's got that kind of tent-like hair. They all do. But she is not Camilla. She is Camilla Jr., Camilla's child. She was going to be named Louisa after her mother, Rita's mother, Margarita Louisa. But she never was. And right here in the bathroom scene is kind of a replay of the party. Remember I talked about teeth-like decorations? Well, look at the sawtooth design. Camilla is turning her back on that snaggletooth girl, and she's admiring her beautiful Louisa in this round thing. And what does Betty think of that? There's that toilet we rarely see. And there is Rita kind of bending over like she's getting up off it after doing something. Betty doesn't think much of Louisa, does she? Coco comes to take Louisa away. She's got a hanky, and she looks suspiciously at Betty. That's her rival. Get her out of my room, or womb. The purple kind of reminds me of this, a movie from about the same time period, and a very talented singer, actress, and dancer. Coco takes her away. That looks like a kimono, more Japanese influence. Rita tries to hide. Look at that couch. It looks like a big struggle happened on that couch. Poor Rita is obviously terrified of the blonde lady. And by blonde lady, I mean Betty. Behind her on the table is an arrangement of 6, which I think will be significant. So we've talked about the 3 warring families, right? They are the Castiglianis, the Selwyn/Rokes, and the DeRosas. But there's a 4th family, the Keshers. symbolized by this red-headed crane with its wings outstretched like an angel. Let's think about this mural of a white crane with red on its head in the bedroom. It's flanked by two red panels of shame. You know, I wonder if Adam's dad, Wally, had red hair. He was tall and thin, he was white, but we really didn't see anything about white birds anywhere in this movie, right? Ooh. There's a white feather right next to the cowboy hat. I wonder what that's about. You know what? I left off a name. I left off a name when I gave the meaning of names. Adam means son of the red earth, and sometimes it's used as son of the redhead. Yeah. Wally had red hair, and the cowboy really likes redheads. Adam's not laughing. He's crying. Why does he cry when he thinks about the cowboy? Adam passes quite a few blue dumpsters on the way to meet the cowboy. These yellow crosses glow along his path. He pulls into the corral. Seems a bit damp around there, Adam. Can we take a minute to appreciate David Lynch and the character of the cowboy? That guy was not an actor. His delivery is so stiff, I thought he was imitating a doll. His clothes are too big. His hat is ridiculously tall. And yet David Lynch turned him into one of the most terrifying, memorable, and iconic characters in any movie ever.
Okay, I'm thinking.
No, you're not thinking. You're too busy being a smart aleck to be thinking. Now I want you to think and stop being a smart aleck. Can you try that for me?
Look, where's this going? What do you want me to do?
There's sometimes a buggy. How many drivers does a buggy have?
One.
Did you notice Adam sticking out his tongue at the cowboy? Is he being a brat? Actually, there's a lot of tongues sticking out in this movie. Even Hank sticks out his tongue. I had kind of decided that was the father's in this film. But then it was pointed out there were some other tongues sticking out. Betty sticks out her tongue on the telephone, and then she looks at Rita. Adam sticks out his tongue at the party, and so does Camilla. Thanks, A Swift Hoax, for pointing out all those sticky outy tongues. I'm really not sure what they mean. Sometimes in some cultures, it's a sign of embarrassment. Kali sticks out her tongue. Sometimes her devotees stick out their tongues. It beats me. Let me know what you think. Wow, the cowboy's really laying down the law. And what did he mean by, if he sees you once, you done good, and if he sees you twice, you done bad? Who is the cowboy? I'll tell you who. It's that other character who has no eyebrows, wears red and white on their chest, talks in an old-timey way, and has white on their head. It's really obvious, and only the inherent sexism of society kept you from seeing the truth. Dun, 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 dun. Yeah, it was Coco all along. That's why she had the key. That's why she was hanging around the apartment. It's where Camilla Jr., and Coco all died. And you're saying, Coco doesn't have white on her head. Well, that woman is like 80, and the character's maybe 60. All that's on the head is white. Take my word for it. And why does the cowboy hide his hands? It would break the illusion if he didn't. And it's all an illusion. Come on, who pushes your buggy? Your mom, that's who. Remember Coco's red and white kimono? There it was in the drawer of the cowboy's apartment. So Coco has many faces. She's Coco, she's Lenny, she's Carol, and she's Blue Hair Lady. She was the cowboy, she was Vincenzo, she was Back of Headman, she was Heavyset Woman, she was Taka, and she was Jean. So heartening to see how few David Lynch fans are criminals. If you were, you'd know the judge sees you once to pronounce guilt and then twice to pronounce sentence. You forgot that women could be judges, didn't you? Betty blocks the stove wearing her hopeful pink bathrobe. She hides a knife behind her back. They're rehearsing. She brandishes the knife at Rita. Her eyes, again, look brown. She seems actually angry. Rita is also concerned. She tells Betty she's a great actress. And you know what? We saw Betty pull out that great performance later at the audition, and Camilla never lies. Betty is a great actress. And you know what? That bitch Rita, she stole her interpretation. She got there first, and she impressed the director so much, Betty never had a chance. No wonder Betty is furious. We have a shot of a happy burbling fountain between two twin statues. I think that might be the De Rosa twins. Hey, Rita. Where'd that red bathrobe come from? You only had the clothes on your back when you came here. Betty's wearing her pink robe that she brought in her suitcase. The owner of this apartment left his robe lying there with a note pinned to it. So where did that bathrobe come from? It's your colors. It fits you. It's your bathrobe. What's it doing here? We doing the cowboy behind Adam's back? You understand how it happened, Adam. I was just trying to provide a male role model for my poor fatherless boy. All he had was my horrible brother, Luigi. I had the best of intentions. And then I got into it. I really, really got into it. Everybody loved the cowboy. Everybody responded to him, if you know what I mean. Anyway, I'm sorry you found out by discovering the bodies of me and Camilla in the dumpster. Really, Adam, you're just kind of too sensitive like your dad. He crapped out when he caught me and redheaded Ruth in bed together at Havenhurst. So, what's the terrible secret of the cowboy? Old ladies still like sex. Weird role-playing sex. Old ladies like your mom. I told you it was terrible. With loud, noisy footsteps, Coco comes by. She's wearing pants. That's a very striking red and black Chinese robe she was wearing at the party. But I wonder if this is really Coco, because she has these blood drop earrings. and this blood drop ring. I wonder if this isn't a representation of Aunt Ruth. Aunt Ruth is telling her, remember last night? And you've got to take care of this. When Betty steps out of the apartment, she has this cute girl, kind of blonde bob going on. But now she has a hook-like thing here, and she's looking at a glowing hook, maybe like something you perform an abortion with. Camilla had one too. Ed had a hook too. There it is. Coco has always actually had one. I think they're talking about an abortion. But why would Coco facilitate the abortion of her only grandson, however little she may have liked Camilla or her relationship with Adam? I don't think she would have, except in certain circumstances. I think there are hints that there was something seriously wrong with Adam Jr. He has very dark glasses. He barely speaks. And it is being suggested that severe disabilities might be a reason for abortion. Coco catches Rita in the apartment. And in this shot, there is just so much going on. So we'll start with the coffee cups. We know it's coffee because there's the French press. So Rita is drinking coffee, as we can see by the coffee press, but she is drinking it out of a teacup. Does she not know any better? Actually, Betty is doing the same thing. What's the difference, you say? Well, a coffee cup is much taller and has less surface area on top, so the coffee doesn't get cold, but tea is very hot, so you want a lot of surface area to cool it off. The person who lives in that apartment just drinks tea. Heavyset drinks tea. That's an electric tea kettle, just like this. And when Joe wrestles her to the ground, there's this carton visible on the shelf. I really need it to be an upside down carton of Twinings green tea. The person who lived in this apartment drank tea. There's the shiny silver round tea kettle. Now, there was nothing on Ed's stove for tea or coffee. There's some milk back there. He seems kind of to be obsessed with eating, maybe because he's pregnant. Diane had something hard to make out back there on her stove. So, what's that on Diane's stove? Well, I possess one, so I'm pretty sure it's a Bialetti. You can make perfectly good espresso on your stovetop like every other Italian using one of these. And yet Diane is not doing that. She's just using that automatic coffee maker that looks kind of horrible, really. She's given up on the good life. She doesn't deserve it. I searched around the internet for a similar round, silver, shiny, pregnant tea kettle that David Lynch is drawing our attention to. But I just couldn't find anything that similar. There was just something off about every one. I would have liked it to be an OXO for reasons that will be clear later. This is kind of more like it, but not really. Chantel, that would have been good. It's got a French name that would tie in. But this is the closest one. What is special about this kettle? That kettle is missing something. It's missing the top. It popped off somehow. And what happens when the top pops off? All the liquid comes out. There's really a lot to see in this shot. The torn up couch, The book with the naked male torso, these glowing steps leading up to the picture of the mother and child. And there are these 4 yellow orchids. We haven't really dealt with the number 4 yet. And there are 6 photos. 6 will be important. But right here is this weird bifurcated statue. It's one of these. It's like twins, but they're stuck together like Siamese twins. Rita waits anxiously in the living room. The pink orchids of the hopeful ingenue are to her right. Betty covers them, and only dead flowers are to be seen. I think this may reflect a time when Camilla and Diane were friends, and Camilla was letting Diane stay in number 17, and then Coco came and kicked her out. But you know what? She kicked Diane out to her own apartment in number 12, so really, Diane has nothing to complain about. This is from mulhollanddrive.net. The chest there by the window has 3 people in the same boat. Betty leaves for her audition, framed by greenery. But it looks like the old lady brought someone here first. The gates of the studio resemble the gates of Havenhurst. Betty strides forward confidently. Behind her are green geometric rectangles, and over here is a burbling fountain. Betty's trial begins. There's 9 people in this room. It's impossible to get a shot of all of them at the same time. There's Martha, the prosecutor. Hidden behind her is Nikki. There's Lenny. There's Julie. There's Bob. There's the defense attorney, Chuck. And there's Jack Tupman. So tupped is something rams do. When Wally called him Tupman, he was calling him a fucker. And there's Wally and there's Betty. So all these people are surrounding Betty. She is in the position of the picture of blonde Camilla in the boardroom, and this scene reflects the boardroom scene. 3 people are standing. One is Wally, bathed in celestial light. I believe he's Adam's father, but now I think he might be Diane's as well, and Joe's as well. In which case, he really does bear responsibility for this situation. There is Chuck, the defense attorney, just as smarmy as can be in his $2,000 suit, and they will reenact the crime. There's a door behind him. And Betty is standing. Wally gestures, the light catches him, and he seems to have actually quite a few film awards in spite of Lenny's cattiness. It looks like an Oscar and a Golden Globes. And ever so briefly, a blue box flashes above his hand. So Martha is hiding out back here in this chair to one side of the desk. It looks like an audition board to me, audition slate, not a regular like scene one. There's a table with 2 chairs back here, an ashtray and a newspaper. I kind of think newspapers indicate good news. I see them at the diner. I see them at Sierra Bonita. And I saw it when Betty came to Havenhurst. And there is her old life discarded on the desk. Martha will smile goofily whenever the camera is on her. And there's a black book on Wally's desk. So there was this number on top of the taxi that might have been a Bible verse, verse 163. Fortunately, there is the internet because I have no idea which book that is, and I do not possess a Bible. To everyone's astonishment, he wrote, his name is John. There's no Johns in this movie, right? Beats me. There's another taxi in the background, and someone gestures toward it. It's 2:45. There's two verses. I think this is the one referred to, though. They sold property and possessions to give to anyone who had need. Could that be the Castigliani's taxi? So those cabinets are lawyers' bookcases. That's why I think this is a courtroom. One of the reasons, anyway. Two people raise their hand to give testimony. This is surely Betty's mother. She's got the gold jewelry, she's got the ring, she's very blonde, and she really likes Betty, and she really doesn't like Lenny. Jack also raises his hand to give testimony. He is Jack Selwyn, the molesting stepdad. So here's the layout of Wally's office, and it really does resemble the boardroom. If we pretend Bob's director's chair isn't really a chair, there are 8 chairs in this room, or 8 places to sit. There's 3, 4, 5. Martha is sitting in one. There's one behind the desk, and Jack is sitting in another. There's 2 bookcases crammed with awards. There's 1 window behind Wally. And then these 3 gals and 3 doors. And 2 empty chairs. Again, there's a door here behind Lenny and Nikki. So who are they? You know, we've seen these stylish glasses, black stylish jacket, silver jewelry. The name is Nikki, which is short for, say, Nicolette, which is short for Colette, which is nicknamed Coco. We have another kid that named themselves after their mother. Coco. This is Coco. She's got this little pin that identifies her with Jean, who we are pretty sure is also Coco. And that couch, really, I swear it's the exact same one. The couch at Havenhurst and the couch in Wally's office. You know, I'm starting to think that Adam might be reborn as a woman. He's caring, considerate of others, sensitive, principled, dedicated, creative. I think he'd make a great woman. Welcome to the team, Adam.
Action.
You're still here.
I came back. Thought that's what you wanted.
Nobody wants you here.
Really?
My parents are right upstairs. They think you've left.
So surprised.
I can call them. I can call my dad.
But you won't.
And Bob seems bewildered. Oh, holy crap! There's a bullet hole by his head, and somebody's turned out his lights. And is that like where he got shot? Did somebody shoot Billy Bob? It would have to be someone to his right. That's Julie. But she's been dead for years, so it has to be somebody who does her bidding. Betty nails the audition. At the end, she and stepdad exchange a complicit glance. Woody tells her, "Baby, you got away with it." So did you notice that director's chair Bob Brooker is sitting in? Yeah, I already had a director's chair in my home. In fact, I have two of them. And I have many of the costumes and props you see, not all, like this shirt I didn't have. But when Bob gets up, there's a sign on his chair, and it doesn't say director. Wally is overwhelmed. At last, he is free. He says they will talk again very soon, but they never speak again for the rest of the movie. Behind him, a woman hides her face with a fan. And over here is an ashtray. It is clean. When they get up, Bob's chair is exposed. And everyone gets up except Julie. She can't get up, not after that terrible car accident. She glares at Adam. It's time for him to fix things. Lenny drags Betty away. You can barely see the cast behind Billy, or Bobby, as he's referred to in this scene. As they leave, we get a glimpse of this picture on a wall of a dark-haired woman cuddling a dog. Betty flips her hair on the way out, and Nikki's and her heads perfectly reflect this picture. I think Nikki's going to help. They go down the hall. Briefly, there is the picture of a woman resembling the portrait of Beatrice Cenci at Havenhurst. It's between Nikki and Betty. They pause in the hall to wait for the elevator. Fire. There's fire between them. And Lenny makes this odd gesture that looks like she's going to knock off Betty's head.
God, that was awful. Not you, Betty. You were stellar, and I mean that. But poor Wally. He'll never get that picture made.
No.
Wally's days were up 20 years ago.
You know Woody Katz is only doing it for a favor. And the cast I hear so far is terrible.
Oh, God, terrible. That poor old fool Wally.
He was very nice, and he seemed so sweet. And Wally, Mr. Brown, is a very close friend of my aunt's.
Settle down, Betty. Don't get me wrong, I love Wally. I ought to. I was married to him for 10 years. And I love actors, all actors. We just get a little catty sometimes. Now, we want to take you across and introduce you to a director who's a head above the rest. He's got a project you will kill. Knock right out of the park.
Well, what's Lenny going on about? Let's translate. God, that was awful. I had no idea you went through that, Betty. It's not your fault. You know, I was married to Wally for 10 years, and then he died. That was 20 years ago, and because Adam's 30 and I'm Coco. It's probably my fault after he caught me cavorting in bed with Aunt Ruth, the redhead. And then he just left you with this terrible cast and crew, especially that Billy. I still want to knock you in the back of the head for what you did to my son, though. They arrive at Betty's next trial, where her victim, Adam, will judge her. Adam's expression is supposed to be of love, but I find it slightly ambiguous. He sees the woman who killed his cheating fiancé, his traitorous mother, and the child that was not really his. In the background, Lenny inclines her head and mouths the words, "Help me," to Adam. So I'll give you all a little hint for the next sections. All three songs are songs of love between parent and child. So 16 Reasons, Every Little Star, and Gerando are all from parent to child or child to parent, the first love that you know.
Carol performs her fake audition. Here in the spotlight, Camilla Jr. waits her turn. Carol sings her song, 16 Reasons Why I Killed My Career for You. She's reminding Adam of his obligations. In front of her is the optical illusion of the colonnades in the judges' chambers. We see them here as the magician pushes on Blue Hair Lady's head and invokes lightning. Here they are again, near back of head man. These are all personas of Coco. Carol sings. It really seems like she's not making any noise. She's lip syncing, and it's suggested that she has no singing talent. 4 red lights recall the red lights of Joe's parking lot. Behind her are some Fiskars. Scissors. Scissors are very important in this movie. They appear in the boardroom between Vincenzo and Luigi. So thank you, U.S. fan, for pointing out the scissors. They will come up again in a very important context. Carol does some finger pointing backstage that looks like you, me, outside if you don't do what I want. Adam knows he'd better. Look at his shirt. It's got kind of white things that resemble bird feathers, and there's faint red ones too. It's the sign of the Keshers, the crane, the red-headed crane. Yes, this one. He asks, "Where are you, Hank? Where are you, my father?" Something is here, I don't know, tea, coffee, I don't know, but I'm sure it's significant because the light is falling on it. Behind, it looks like Diane's mom, blonde Betty, with her shirt of the Rokes. And here looks like might be the cowboy, a more heavy-set woman with dark hair. Hank is right there. He's always right there. And I think Hank is going to marry the waitress to be the father Diane needed. Death is here, but he blocks him as Adam smoothly lights one cigarette of his old life with a new one and blows a perfect smoke ring, which I think indicates a junction point, something that each soul must leap through to fulfill their purpose. And right there is a coffee cup with a lot of green and white again. Beats me. Here's another circle of light that Coco had to jump through. Here's the circle of light that Camilla had to jump through to bring Diane to the afterlife. And here is the circle that Diane had to jump through to leave her life behind. So here, it's pretty clear Carol isn't singing. Her lower parts are orange and deflated, and obviously she will never be the ingenue again. And this is very annoying. I just can't tell. Is blonde Camilla singing? I think she is, but I just don't know.
Hank, where's Hank? Who's next, Hank?
Camila Rhodes.
She ready?
Already.
Bring her in.
Camila Rhodes next. Okay, here we go. Let's lock it up, please. Roll sound, please.
That's it. Playback and action.
Her song starts with, "Oh baby, Ironically, Adam just blew an O into the air from his cigarette. I wonder how many times the word baby actually occurs. Now that I think about it, I've heard it several times in this movie.
She's very nervous. She's young, she's uncertain. She looks from side to side. She wipes her hands on her skirt, which looks rather ragged at the bottom, but she pulls it out of the hat. She gets into it, she sings her song, she makes it happen. Yeah, she's kind of banal, but you know what? She's a fetus. They don't know a lot about singing. A pink arrow points right at her. A black arrow pointed at Camilla when she and Diane fought. Hank stands behind, on guard. Here is the Betty persona, and here is the guy in the yellow shirt waiting with her. Jason comes down. Adam's headphones seem to say answer instead of Kesher. I think he's found a solution. This is Ray. It would have made more sense to me if it was Luigi, but Ray appears and says, "You made a good choice." He seems threatening. It's Betty's turn, but as usual, Betty is not up to it. She thinks about what she did and she cannot face Adam. It's like, oh.
Well, anyway, it's time to harass Rita and show her what kind of a person she is. And this guy, dressed exactly like her, is standing behind. Well, Betty, stage fright is a terrible thing. Lots of people have it. I have it. So I'm going to share something that really helped me. Get a partner, a friend, or even an enemy to help you while you rehearse. And they will sit there and listen attentively. Well, actually, no. They will ball up pieces of paper and throw them at you. They will do it constantly. They will make rude remarks about how you look, what you're doing. And once you're through that a few times, you can ignore all the distractions and focus on your performance and the other people on stage. So give it a shot. It really works. The girls hurry down to the waiting cab. Neither Betty nor Rita carries a handbag. That's because Betty already gave all her money and handbag to the driver, who is Shirley Joe. A car is waiting in front of a wall that reminds me of the wooden wall at Mulholland Drive with its parallel lines. The silver car has its lights on, which is surely unusual if you're trying to hide. But there was a silver car with its lights on in another place. When Betty arrived, the yellow cab left, and this was waiting for her. They circled to the back. You can see there are 2 stone pillars at Sierra Bonita. They go down the alley, past the twin bungalows, and in the background, a garage door opens, and we see a box. The girls enter the tunnel together. Aunt Ruth is leaving. She is finally free. The numbers here add up to 6, which is a good omen. Betty is relieved and smirking when she sees her go. I think she was afraid of Aunt Ruth, and maybe everybody was. Purple streamers of some flower reach hauntingly toward Camilla. I've noticed she wears clothes that look like reflections, not exact reflections of Coco's. She seems to always wear pants. I thought that's what Betty preferred, but I think that's all there is in Coco's closet. And this outfit with the Moorish sleeves is kind of similar to this first outfit of Coco's. It's got the V-neck, it's got turned back Moorish sleeves, but it's the same idea. But this time it is she, that wears the inappropriate shoes. I noticed this right off. Their steps are very loud in the courtyard, and that is because Rita is wearing tap shoes. That was the only shoe she had that was big enough for her to fit into. Some of Coco's old dancing shoes. They walk by a stone pillar that reminds us that this is a reflection of the party scene. There seems to be somebody watching from an apartment covered in greenery. Perhaps it is Diane's mother. They pass what looks like a back door. There's a light on, but it looks like there's a problem in there. The door is cracked open as if to air the place out. This might be the front door. It's a mirror image of number 17, so it could be number 16. And down here, is somebody watching them from the mail slot? Is that Aunt Ruth? I saw light slow down in another scene where I thought Coco was Aunt Ruth. Down there. They finally come to number 12. There's a Christmas tree inside, which reminds us of the DeRosa twins. And out comes maybe DeRosa. She looks just subtly like she might be beat up. And I see a couple places where people look like they have bruises on their face, but it's kind of hard to tell. There's a light also here in her apartment, signifying a soul inside. But that is not DeRosa. I mean, you can see the shirt buttons are on the other side. Her hair is very flat. And she's got a mole down here. If it is indeed a she. I don't think it's a she. I didn't see that mole in reality, so that's not the same person. I mean, it's kind of hard because David Lynch doesn't really focus on it, but I'm pretty sure it's not there. At one point, her collar seems kind of low and her back seems sort of naked. So usually I play the clip and then I do my translation. I'm going to reverse that in the next section because all the communication is nonverbal. So I'm going to give you the translation and then I'll play the clip with the sound down so you can focus on the words between DeRosa and Rita. Let's translate. It's my disabled unborn son, Juan. We would have called him John. Oh, hi, Mom. Thanks for throwing me away like a piece of trash. I'm ashamed. I never imagined you looked so much like my twin sister, Juana. Well, you are sorry. You seem nice. Maybe I'll come with you. Would you? Would you be my son again? Oh, whoops, it's not allowed.
I switched apartments with her. She's in 17. It's down at the end on the left. But she hasn't been around for a few days. Oh, we'll leave her a note. I'll go with you. She still got some of my stuff. You go ahead, I gotta get that.
So I feel like this is where David Lynch undercuts his moral argument. I mean, if the baby soul can just leap from one womb to the next one, then it's like a win-win-win situation. Baby has a loving mom. Mom wants her baby. The one that didn't want the baby doesn't have to deal with it. Just saying. So Sierra Bonita is a reflection of Havenhurst, not because they are the same place, but to let us know if we see something in one, it should be there in the other. I got this off mulhollanddrive.net, where they were trying to figure out where the red lampshade was, and they were just wrong. There's Aunt Ruth's apartment. And I've turned Sierra Bonita on its side so you can easily compare them. There's the living room, there's the kitchen, there's the shower, there's the bedroom. There's the living room, there's the kitchen, there's the bathroom, there's the bedroom. And where that second bedroom is the sink alcove. And then there's this mystery room with the 2 windows that we never see inside. It corresponds to this weird little closet. And I question whether it completely is shaped like that. I think it connects to the outside, and perhaps Joe was able to sneak in that way. So does this mystery room actually connect to the outside and to number 16? Because that is how the girls enter number 17. But it's clearly not the same apartment in the end. It's number 16. A spiky bird of paradise points at Camilla as they pass what is likely number 16. They reach number 17. The light is out. Camilla rubs her hands anxiously. It's time for her to face what she did with her big, dumb mouth. They enter. This is no longer 17. There was not a dead plant there. There was not this long, bulbous thing. They have passed over to number 16. And they see the horrible corpse of Aunt Ruth. And now Camilla must face what she did when she blabbed things to Luigi. She flees in horror. Betty looks kind of mad, and where's her arm? I'll tell you where it is. It's grabbing the back of her hair, and that blurring in and out is her shaking Camilla's head back and forth as she beats her up, just like Aunt Ruth used to do. She looks like a demon. They go back to Havenhurst. They're in the bathroom. Camilla is cutting her hair, but I think this is a reflection of DeRosa. Diane was always jealous of her hair, so she helps her cut it all off. Then she pleads with Rita, "Let me do it. Let me do it." "Yeah, let you do what, Betty? What does she have to do?" She discards the scissors on a blue book in French. Ladies and gentlemen, the blue box. There was another name I left off the list. Margarita, Rita, means pearl. The blue box was right there beneath the photograph of the brunette woman and the blonde child. We saw it in Betty's drawer next to the gun. The 2 blondes gaze at themselves in the encircling mirror. And this one shot, which was the end of the original pilot, is why I am 99% sure that David Lynch had the whole last part of the movie in mind the whole time. There were books all over Havenhurst and all over Mulholland Drive. So on the subject of books, Coco, Ann Miller, wrote this book about her life. It was really interesting. And she talked about reincarnation, and she talked about her favorite book, which is also one of my favorite books, and I do recommend them both. And it was quite fascinating, and I can almost forgive her support for Ronald Reagan. Betty waits in bed to receive what is her due. That was kind of a smug look, Betty. Now, there will be no naked lesbian scenes because that makes me uncomfortable, but I encourage you to look at the facial expressions in the scene, in particular when Betty asks Rita if she has ever done this before, and Rita rolls her eyes. Betty and Rita consummate their relationship. Betty wakes up to hear Rita say silencio 8 times, once for each of Diane's victims. But what does silencio mean? Rita says they have to go somewhere. It's obvious she's been there before and knows how to get there, but then she was sent back. Those yellow X's line their path. A silver cab picks them up. Yeah. You know, there's just a ton of silver cars in this movie, and I really can't imagine what they represent. We don't see the driver, but we do know that Adam drives a silver car. I think that's Adam. They go through beautiful shots of a downtown late night Los Angeles. It just perfectly captures being young and go to some secret great club that only you know about. It's just a beautiful series. They go down many of these to reach the parking lot of Silencio, where an 8 is scribbled on the pavement. Someone rushes behind them, but the door is slammed in their face. I believe it was Aunt Ruth. Aunt Ruth may not move on. Maybe she will never move on because of her terrible crimes. Suddenly, Betty is wearing the red shirt with the emblem of her family. That's because red is the color of guilt, and Betty is now the accused. So here's a shot of the audience members at Club Silencio. You can see there's 8 on Betty's side, but only 1 on Rita's side. The girls enter Club Silencio. There's a magician on stage. He talks about illusion and everything is recorded like in a courtroom. And then he makes a bunch of remarks about trumpets and trombones. I wonder what that means. Let's consult my book of old-fashioned slang. It's sex. It's always sex. Suddenly, Betty has some sort of seizure. The magician gives an evil look, waves his stiff, long wand, and it vanishes. And then he vanishes in a cloud of smoke. We've all known guys like that, right? But wait a minute. Did he just rape Betty right in front of our eyes? Or has someone been conceived in the red velvety depths of Club Silencio? The magician has a gold ring and a single pearl denoting a single child, his son. He has the full facial hair of Joe, but he's wearing 2 colors, black and blue. 2 colors means 2 families. He spreads his wings like Joe, and he flashes that sign. But is he also Adam? He does speak French. This guy appears. At first, I thought it might be Luigi. After all, the shadow of the mic is hitting him in a pretty sensitive place. He spreads his wings as well. There's another white bird. I think this is Wally, Adam's father. Cookie comes on stage, drenched in red, and introduces La Llorona. La Llorona was a woman who drowned both her children when her aristocratic lover deserted her. She comes on stage. She's rather skimpily dressed in red and black, and some of you have theorized that she is a prostitute. We've discussed this before. She is not a prostitute. She is skimpily dressed because she's just a little fetus crying for her mother, and they're not known for being well dressed. Actually, they're not known for being dressed at all. What is going on there? Yep, she was born and she died at Havenhurst. Billy saw her and strangled her with the purple ribbon that was her umbilical cord. And Joe came in and was appalled. Like many criminals, murderers, and rapists, he would never harm a child. He grabs the nearest piece of fabric, which is the sleeve of Coco's robe, and wraps her in it and puts her in the blue box. And that's what Betty cannot bear to remember. Rebecca sings. She has heavy makeup like Coco, the single tear of weeping for a family member. And then mid-song, she faints to the floor on a carpet. Why is there a carpet on stage? It's like the carpet of Havenhurst. Cookie seems to want to carry her away, but in the end, Billy and Cookie haul her off like a sack of potatoes. The girls watch the performance intently. The light falls on Betty's watch. Time is running out. The performance is incredible. The magician said there is no band, and that is only the truth. She is singing a cappella. Betty cries a single tear that is not for herself. So, what is felt, realized, and gathered at Club Silencio? Evidence is gathered, guilt is realized, and remorse is felt. The girls hurry home. It's time to look in the blue box. Betty gingerly holds the box, and over here are those 4 orchids. And what's this extra thing? That reminds me of something. Oh, well, God damn it, David Lynch. I have no idea what that means. Of course, Betty immediately vanishes. She's not going to look at what she did. And poor Rita is all alone, calling, "Where are you? Where are you, Betty?" She returns, the poor little fetus, and falls into the blue box. Joe comes to clean up the handiwork and sees what Billy did. Judgment is rendered. Inspiring music plays. The bum's face fades away. The girls bob above the glittering lights of Los Angeles. They will never be alone. They are together forever. Coco pronounces sentence on the murderer of her son. Innocent. The show is over. The girls are released to bob above the skies of Hollywood amidst the stars. Or no, they are on Mulholland Drive, bobbing in the amniotic fluid of their mother, and they are reborn as twins. I don't know that it's a happy ending. Rita looks concerned, while Betty looks delusional. Between them is this red erect thing. It was foretold at the airport. There's Irene/Louisa/Rita, and there's Betty, and between them, the purple fairy of talent smiling on Irene. And she has a scarf around her neck, the scarf of a strangler. And above Betty's head, it says, "Do not." This was foretold all the way back at the party when Adam had a brilliant idea and he brought out the wine. It's hard to see in this shot, the 3 wine glasses. One has the blue arrow of death pointing at it. But 2 of them are the same. They're identical. And one is different for the boy. So what do I think is auspicious about the number 6? I think it stands for the 3 parents who will raise the 3 kids of the next Castiglione generation. There will be Hank and the waitress raising Rita and Betty. There will be DeRosa hopefully surviving to raise her son John. In the prior generation, only Adam had a living parent, and that was Coco. So every generation of the Castiglionis has twin girls and a boy. There was Luigi, Coco, and her twin Margarita Luisa. There was Adam and his cousins DeRosa and Camilla. And now there will be John with Rita and Betty. So there it was. Everything's explained, everything makes sense, and the cycle will continue. So now I would suggest you go and rewatch the movie. You won't remember everything in this series, but you'll remember a lot more than you'll think. And then if you watch it in my order, which is taking reality from the cowboy opening the door to the suicide and moving it right after the red sheets, you'll just see the logical flow from beginning to end with that simple change. And I've been told that many people think you could do this with any movie. You could just make up some stuff and try to fit it in and make a story behind it. Well, I challenge you to do that then. Take this story with all the 8s, all the pinks and blues and reds and boxes, and try to construct that story with another movie. It won't work. This is unique to this movie because it has all the elements in there. And once you know the basic story, you can start to predict those elements. So anyway, that's it for me. So let me know what you think in the comments. Bye.